looking forward to this one as much as we are. Should be a lot of fun. Dodgers and Mets and Darvish's Dodger debut. Game 1 in a weekend series in New York. And the New York debut for Ahmed Rosario, the shortstop who you saw there. As the Dodgers bring this lineup to the plate, brought to you by Honda. The red-hot Chris Taylor homered last night, leads it off tonight. And it's Seager, Turner, Bellinger, 2 through 4. Jock Peterson in center hitting 5th. Yasmani Grandal does the catching of Darvish. Chase Utley at 2nd. And at right, it's Yasiel Puig. Biggest issue for the Mets this season all has been pitching injuries. Jacob deGrom is the only member of the rotation that's made every start this year. And after a middle of the road first couple of months, the last 2 months, the best guy in baseball.
Yeah, the last 9 starts have been absolutely amazing, and he did a little tinkering with his delivery and his prep. So in between starts now, he throws 2 side works. The first one is all just fastballs away, about 15 just for rhythm. And the next day he uses the full arsenal with the breaking balls, the slider, the changeup, and the curveball. Dodgers tonight probably expecting a little bit more spin from him, even though he throws in the upper 90s.
He and the Mets have dropped 6 of 8. Lost 2 of 3 to Colorado. That series wrapped up yesterday. They got in late last night. Early compared to when the Dodgers got into New York. Off we go with a fastball for strike 1. Dodgers rolled into the hotel close to 4 a.m. Trying to pick things up and get going here in the series opener. Bottom of the zone, strike 2.
He doesn't need any help. If that strike zone ends up down there, plus he likes to elevate, it will make it very tough to hit.
DeGrom to Taylor with an 0-2 pitch. That's down and away for ball 1. Dodgers beating Atlanta last night to take 2 of 3 from the Braves. They've now won 10 of 11. 21 of their last 24. I mean, pick your favorite run. 41 of 48. Taylor fouls it off and it stays at 1-2. What's your favorite?
Wow, 14 sweeps maybe. Just the fact that they can just come in and dominate and stay consistent, because that last game when you have a chance to sweep can be a day that it's really hard to concentrate. You've already done your job and won the series, but they have been finishing them off.
Taylor fouls another. Still 1 ball and 2 strikes. They are 7 games better than anybody in baseball. That includes the Houston Astros, who boat raced everybody over the first few months of the year. Last night's winner, Alex Wood. Another 1-2. Ball 2.
Alex with a career-high 13th win yesterday. In front of his mom, who usually is very loud in the stand. My wife had the opportunity to sit next to her.
Taylor's worked it full. It's an opportunity because I know she can really get into the game.
It's an adventure, let's say.
Yeah. Carol Wood. A big clan of folks down there. Alex said that he didn't feel like he had close to his best stuff, so was really proud of the way that he battled through it. Here comes a payoff. And another foul ball.
As many pitches as you can get out of DeGrom in every at bat here early in the game. The Mets bullpen is not very good, so building the pitch count here is a big success for the whole lineup.
Got ahead of him 0-2. Remains full, and he digs it out of the glove for a 9th pitch to Taylor. Driven to deep left field. Cespedes turns. Chris Taylor. Are you kidding me? It's a solo home run to start the weekend in New York.
Every time we come into a city, the local beat writers, the national guys that cover baseball are here in New York. They ask us about Cody Bellinger and Chris Taylor. They're the ones they don't know. And I keep saying they are legit. He takes an 0-2 count, battles it all the way to 3-2, and then just hits a linea to left field. And this is a big ballpark.
That one takes off. Ball one on Seager. This may be some recency bias. That's got to be one of the most impressive at-bats of the year. 1 ball and 1 strike on Seager.
First look at DeGrom. The velocity's up. He gets ahead with 2 low fastballs. One of them was borderline low and battles all the way back and gets the big fly.
On the 9th pitch.
The outie pitch cast to the home run. You check out the location. It's up. It's high in velocity, but he's got plenty of bat speed to plant it out there in left field. What a start.
Seager grounds it foul. Still 1-2. Seager a 3-hit night last night. He's been racking those up over the last month or so. Another 1-2. He goes to the opposite field. Cespedes not going to get there. Off a bounce, it's to the wall. It's a double for Seager, and the Dodgers off and running against New York.
What an impressive start from the Dodgers, getting in at 4 a.m., winning the series in Atlanta and starting out hot here. Taylor, now Seager, turning the fastball around. Darvish has got to say, I like being a Dodger.
Hadn't even thrown a pitch yet. Runner at second, nobody out, and it's the former New York Met, Justin Turner. Takes the first one outside, ball 1. Land Rover Performance Spotlight. Justin Turner, boy, that hardly even looks like him. Started his career in Baltimore, a handful of games, came to New York, almost exclusively a bench player. As we've talked about many times, revamped his body, revamped his swing, and has turned into one of the top players in baseball. That's cracked on the ground his second, a productive first out.
Team approach, team swing, team out.
Cody Bellinger with a man at third and 1 out. His first game in the city that his dad won the 2 World Championships in with the Yankees, where he has vivid memories of being a young boy in those World Series parades. With Seager at third, DeGrom comes home and Bellinger fouls it back. There he is, getting information from the umpire again. You pitchers, you don't like it.
I could lip read. Was that a strike?
Can't lay off. 0-2.
Well, we've seen Cody now with 2 strikes. He has really progressed as a hitter, even here at the big league level. He'll just try and put one in play.
Protects like you're talking about.
Stays a little taller, stays a little shorter. Uses his hands a little bit more.
DeGrom gets a big strikeout, 2 away.
Little slider slash cutter there on the inside. Wants it farther in. Even backed up on him, but got the job done.
Jock Peterson, the hitter, with Seager at third and 2 out. Trying to snap an 0 for 11 in search of his first hit since last Friday. 29-year-old Jacob deGrom downhill with the first one, and ball one. DeGrom's last outing against Seattle pitched pretty well, gave up 3 runs over 6 innings, but as you mentioned, took the loss, snapping an 8-game winning streak. 1 ball and 1 strike. Second inning of that game, he lost control to one of those tailing fastballs at 95, and it hit Mitch Haniger in the face. And DeGrom admitted that it was really hard to keep going after that. Not easy to pitch. After you watched him taken off by the medical staff. 2-1.
You need some time, as any competitor would, when something like that happens that can really jar you and take you for a loop. And the separation between that outing now and this time frame has probably helped him an awful lot. You can get a little flinch in there and lose your competitive edge.
Seager at third, 2 out. Peterson looks at ball 3 at outside corner, hard to find right now. Rookie of the year. Won that in 2014. An all-star in 2015. It was so big for the Mets during their run to the pennant. Here he comes with a 3-1, and Peterson takes ball 4. Took a changeup off of the plate. 3 consecutive misses out there, and it'll be Yasmani Grandal with 2 out, men at the corners.
Yasmani will get a defense that's a little more porous than Jock had. Now with the man on first, he'll have that hole over there on the right side. There is not a fastball that he cannot turn on in the big leagues.
Tough week for him down in Atlanta. 1 for 8, struck out 5 times. DeGrom pitches, strike 1. Got to be an exciting night for Grandal. Maybe the first to catch Yu Darvish in a Dodger uniform. It was Austin Barnes that caught his bullpen earlier this week, although Grandal watched close by along with Dave Roberts, a couple of other staff members. Everybody came away with the same impression, wowed by Yu Darvish's stuff. Oh, 0-2.
Might see the Dodgers put Jock Peterson in motion here with Corey Seager on third. A little first and third base running move.
Peterson takes off on a pop-up. A lot of foul ground in front of the dugout, but this goes far enough where Cabrera runs out of room.
Dave Roberts starting Peterson, and if it was a ball and they wanted to see if the Mets were going to throw through, Jock would have had instructions on whether to go straight into the bag or pull up short as Corey Seager breaks for the plate. Mets checking on their defense right now for the first and third situation, getting some signals out in front of the plate.
Well, regardless of if they can cash in any more than just this one, they forced Jacob deGrom to throw 29 pitches in the first inning. Looking ahead, their bullpen not good. Going outside with another 0-2. Peterson runs again and no throw, so second and third with 2 out.
No, looks like he wants to throw, but looks like there's some miscommunication with the middle infielders. They're not going to throw behind Seager. They hold their positions for defense from a batted ball.
That is the rookie shortstop there, Ahmed Rosario. Only his 4th major league game. So he's still a little bit raw. Good first inning chance here. The 1-2. Outside, 2-2.
DeGrom actually looks like he is the one getting intimidated here in the first inning away from this Dodger lineup. Picking at the strike zone. Chris Taylor had him 0-2. All of a sudden worked it all the way back to 3-2 as he nibbled around. Having trouble throwing strikes to Jock Peterson. Now here Yasmani Grandal.
Second and third, 2 gone in the first, and a 2-2. Grandal strikes out swing. The Dodgers get one in the Chris Taylor home run. And here comes Yu Darvish for his Dodger debut. Couple weeks for Yu Darvish. Had that really bad last start as a Ranger. Thought he was staying in Texas, but at the last minute the Dodgers get him at the deadline. On to Los Angeles midweek in Atlanta through that bullpen in front of Dave Roberts and company, and joined his fellow Japanese pitcher Kenta Maeda on the Dodger roster. Both those guys from Osaka, Japan. The 30-year-old ready to make his first start in Dodger blue.
He's absolutely a fantastic pitcher. Dodger fans are going to love watching him. I know they've seen him in a Texas uniform. They're going to like him even more with that number 21 on his chest and his back. He's going to go as high as 98 miles an hour with a 4-seam fastball and change speeds all the way down to 64 with a little dewdrop curveball, and in between you got slider, cutter, 2-seamer, slow slider, hard slider. You got it all with a changeup, and he is an artist out there on the mound.
We talked about it earlier this week. Brooks Baseball, which is a great site to check out for what pitches guys throw. They have tracked 8 separate kinds of pitches from Darvish this year. He's got it all. And a season full of moments. It's a pretty cool one here. Yu Darvish begins his time with the Dodgers by allowing a base hit to Michael Conforto. One of the top young hitters in the National League pounces, and the leadoff man on.
Darvish known for attacking hitters, throwing strikes. Just a little 2-seamer on the outer half, slightly up, but the first pitch of the game just getting through the nerves.
What was that like for you, pitching for a new team for the first time?
It's very interesting because you're just trying to find that comfort and rhythm, and then all of a sudden it's really not about the hitter at the beginning. It's really completely about you and just trying to hit the target. It's very interesting to then give up that hit. It's a little bit of a shock, like, oh, I got to compete.
Asdrubal Cabrera now. He goes after the first one and hits it foul. Got to imagine it's even a little bit odd to look down and see a different jersey on.
The jersey, looking over there because Justin Turner's right in front of him there at third base. That's a new look. When he looks over to first base to Cody Bellinger, just watching everything that you do seems new and different. You just got to get used to a new culture.
5th year in the majors. Breaks down and in, 1 ball and 1 strike.
With so many pitches in his arsenal, it'll be interesting for Yasmani Grandal to really anticipate what pitch he might want. For those two to develop a rhythm and for you to be very comfortable with him early on is very important.
Conforto at first. Here comes Darvish for the 1-1. A gently foul, 1-2. Now the big elephant in the room with you, Darvish, right now is what happened his last time out. 10 runs allowed over 3 2/3. It was not just the worst start this year, but the worst start of his professional life. And confirmed afterwards a report that said that he was tipping his pitches. He said there was a slight pause with his hands before throwing the fastball, and the Marlins hitters apparently picked up on that. Nice pitch for his first strikeout as a Dodger.
This curveball is like an optical illusion to the hitter because watch how he don't have a third dimension, just goes straight down. 12-6 on the clock. So without that little extra angle, it's really hard to figure out when to pull the trigger.
Jay Bruce, one of the few guys in baseball that has owned you, Darvish. 4 for 6 with a pair of home runs. A fastball for a strike at 97. Just kind of finishing off that pitch tipping note. Darvish said to the media, I don't know why the Miami scout or whoever it was would leak that they knew I was doing that. He said kind of jokingly, that's something I can fix. Thanks.
Exactly. You know, that's one of the things when you have a rough outing and you feel like they were hitting pitches that were well located and great sequencing. That's the first thing as a pitcher you look at. You talk to your catcher, your pitching coach, you go back and watch your tapes and you see what you can see. Maybe you notice it and can fix it on your own. That information just cut the whole program short.
2-1 on Bruce. You know, the start before that struck out a season high 12, and they said his stuff looked as good as it ever has.
The thing about his year, 22 starts before tonight, given up about a third of his earned runs in just 3 starts. So the bulk of his work has been elite.
Three and 1. Darvish looking for his first win in nearly 2 months. 0-5 over his last 8 starts. You got to go back to June 12th to find that last W. Dangerous one here. 3-1 to the powerful Bruce, and it's hit foul, full count.
See if the Mets start the runner to stay out of the double play ball, as Rick Honeycutt is hoping to get a ground ball at somebody, get you out of this inning.
Conforto started it with a base hit on the first pitch that Darvish threw. He runs, and ball 4. So 2 on with 1 out. This Mets lineup brought to you by Honda, trying to get the run right back. Yoenis Cespedes will come to the plate now, batting out of the cleanup spot for Terry Collins. And Curtis Granderson in right. Neil Walker's the second baseman. Ahmed Rosario at short in his Citi Field debut. And Travis d'Arnaud, Southern California native and a big Dodger fan, bats 8th and catches. Darvish against Cespedes. He has a home run, but he struck out in 11 of the 16 at-bats against Darvish. Two on with 1 out. First one. Ball 1.
I think there was a little cross up right there. Yasmani giving a up and in target, and all of a sudden a breaking ball came. Well, maybe they were just deking the signs there, because he did settle in back over the middle of the plate.
It is in play right now. He just now caught it. Darvish has faced the Mets once this year, pitched into the 8th inning, held them to 3 runs. It was back in early June in Texas. Cespedes was not in the lineup on that day, was still on the DL with the leg issues. He reaches out, sends a high fly ball to left center field. This is playable for Chris Taylor. Conforto heads to third at the corners with 2 out.
Well located fastball away. Darvish pinpoints that one, takes the sting out of the bat, gets it a little off the end, not enough swing to drive the ball, so the lazy fly ball hitting the gap, easily captured by Chris Taylor.
Looks like he was thinking maybe there's a chance off of the bat, but once he watched him flying, he knew. And it'll be up to Curtis Granderson with 2 out here in the first inning. Darvish just looked at the ball, knew that he didn't want it. Been a rough year for Granderson. In the final year of his contract with the Mets. Still some thinking that he may get pushed through waivers and still traded before things are finished. 1-0.
Go a long way of feeling comfortable in a Dodger uniform, getting out of this inning with a 0.
1 ball, 1 strike.
Get through the nerves of a new uniform, understanding the expectations of the trade and where the Dodgers want to go. Getting a 0 in your first inning.
A hit and a walk so far in the inning. Mets at the corners with 2 out. And Granderson looks at a curve that falls in for strike 2. I thought it was fascinating that Darvish was open about the fact that he was cognizant of the pressure that came with the acquisition.
He sure was. His opening press conference was very enlightening of what he's dealing with as he thinks about leaving Texas, where he was very comfortable.
Runner takes off. Granderson fouls it back.
The pressure of joining a staff where he won't be the ace. Clayton Kershaw, for sure, the best pitcher on the planet, will be the ace. But he is being asked to fill in right behind Clayton and be a huge contributor.
This will be the first time in his baseball life that he's not the ace. There's a long way back. playing baseball when he was in 2nd grade, even though his dad initially pushed him towards soccer. Always loved baseball. A 1-2 again. Line drive speared by Darvish, and he gets himself out of this 1st inning jam. And he can breathe a sigh of relief and settle in. He's a Dodger now with a scoreless 1st inning. Really good much of the year, but Dave Roberts points to the 4-game sweep over the Mets to when things really got ridiculous. 15 home runs in those 4 games, a franchise record for a 4-game series, as they scored 36 runs en route to the 4-game sweep. Here is Chase Utley, public enemy number 1 around here, taking ball 1. Thunderous boos when they introduced him pregame, and again when he came up to the plate to start this inning. Two and 0.
The louder they boo, the more he rises to the occasion. He is a big-time player in the moment and will never back down from any of that, especially a guy who had so much success in Philadelphia.
Leading off the 2nd against Jacob deGrom, and pulling a high drive to right field. Granderson back onto the warning track to catch it for the 1st out. Put a scare into him. Of course, it all stems not just from those days in Philadelphia where he was so good, but when he broke Ruben Tejada's leg with the hard slide in Game 2 of the Division Series in 2015. And when he came back here last year, first visit since that moment, he shut him up pretty quickly. They threw behind him. He homered later in the at-bat, and later in the game hit a grand slam. A strike on Puig.
A very nice answer to the moment.
Yasiel Puig gets a high drive to left center field. That ball is gone. A no-doubt shot for Puig. A new career high with his 20th of the season.
Yasiel has been known after big events that Turner Ward gets a kiss, so we better keep the camera on those two. But that was fantastic.
Now Darvish bats for the first time.
Had a rough night last night, grounding a few balls, but he dug that one out. Barely a bat flip, and the jog around the bases. And here it goes.
Yes, tradition. Oh, that was aggressive.
Turner.
He wiped his mouth. It looks disgusted. 1-2 on Darvish. Now, the whole point, and Yasiel Puig giving him a kiss, was that he said he had been too aggressive with Turner, beating him up too much. That looked pretty darn aggressive there. 2-2. Kind of defeats the purpose.
Hey, welcome.
All right, then you got the legitimate Turner shake.
Darvish has worked it full.
They had a moment a few games ago where Yasiel gently kissed him 4 or 5 times, but there's a beginning of it where Turner is pulling away and there's a still shot of it. A grimacing smile from Turner Ward as Yasiel is planting the kiss on his cheek, and it's a great still shot. And I talked to Turner behind the canes today. I said, you have to get that up in your office. And he goes, yeah, and I'm going to have him sign it. It's going to be great.
Let's check in with Alana.
It was actually Turner Ward's wife that said that Yasiel Puig needed to watch it because he was hurting her husband. And I asked him the other day, I said, would you rather have him punching you like that, or would you rather have these sloppy kisses that you continue to wipe off? He's like, the way that he hits, I'll take the kisses.
That's right, because it means the ball's flying out of here. A strike on Taylor. They started the game with a bang. A line drive home run to left off DeGrom after falling behind in the count 0-2. Worked it full. Went deep on the 9th pitch. 1-1. One and two. Two and two. Fouls that one off his leg pretty sharply.
86-mile-an-hour changeup that had him out in front, so he pulls it right into his leg, and that is really stinging.
It's hard to do off the back side of your back leg.
Ball runs in on him and letting the ball get deep, but then had to pull it. Boy, yeah, he gets it right off the top of the knee right there, bottom of the quad.
You hope that it was the quad and not the knee, not the meat and not the bone. That would make it hurt any less, but feel better about it long term if that was the case. Taylor's going to stay in. Hold your breath for a minute there, though, when he crumbles the way that he did.
We have gone from Chris Taylor's come up to help us to why isn't he in the lineup to oh my gosh, I hope he's okay.
Yeah, you do a double take now on the days where he's not in there. can't be fun having to climb back in after that. Face a 2-strike pitch. Tough guy. He is a former wrestler and a family full of them. He was a champion wrestler when he was in middle school in Virginia. Another 2-2. Offered, strike 3. What a home run from Yasiel Puig. His 20th of the season. The Dodgers take a 2-0 lead. Home runs, kisses. Dodger baseball in 2017. Against DeGrom. And Darvish take a deep breath now, settle in after a bit of a rocky first inning where he was able to strand runners at the corners. Neil Walker leads off the second, and Darvish gives him strike 1. Quickly 0-2.
Seems to have really commanded the inside part of the plate with the heater and the slider so far to left-handed hitters.
On 3 pitches, he gets Walker for the first out of the inning. Our Coors Light Cold Hard Fact tonight is part of a pretty nice line of Japanese players in Dodger history. Of course, Hideo Nomo, the all-time leader in wins among Major League Japanese pitchers with 123. Daisuke was the guy that he followed, that Yu Darvish followed. Most quickly coming over from Japan, and already in his 4.5 seasons has moved his way into the top 5.
7 seasons over there in Japan. 4 All-Star games over here in the U.S.
Ahmed Rosario in his Citi Field debut. The young shortstop swings away, strike 1. They're about as excited around here about his debut today as they are in Los Angeles about Darvish. Much different reason. Dodger fans kind of smelling blood with the Darvish acquisition, and Mets fans are just looking for anything to get excited about.
Somebody that represents their future.
Manager Terry Collins Tough year for him. Two and one.
Excitement. He started right away. The triple is one of the most exciting plays in baseball, and he already has two.
Out of his first 3 career hits in the major leagues. 21-year-old top prospect on a 2-1. Cuts through it, strike 2. There are no Darvishes in the Pacific Coast League. Oh. 3-2. If you're not familiar with Citi Field, you will hear jets throughout the game. LaGuardia Airport adjacent. Rosario out of the Dominican Republic. Got a bunch of family here to watch him tonight. 3 sisters, his dad, who's an attorney and a judge back home in the Dominican, made the trip here. Stays alive. We'll do the 3-2 again.
Just fun to watch him pitch out there. He gets into a 3-2 count. He kind of rears back on a 4-seamer the pitch before, and this one he goes with a 2-seamer. So even when he's backed into a corner, you don't know what's coming.
.6'5", 220 pounds. What everybody talks about is how imposing of a figure he is, even just to stand next to. And then you put him on that mound. A hulking, powerful figure.
On the 3 o'clock bus today, and sat about 5 rows behind him as I walked by him, shook his hand, wished him luck, and then sitting behind him, his shoulders came over the seat, and his whole head and neck were above the seat. It was just like, wow.
Yeah, the shoulders, I think, are what really do it. Broad shoulder. One of the first Japanese players to really embrace weight training. A payoff. And back-to-back Ks to open the second for Darvish.
Just strength against strength. Fastball just middle in ends up. Yasmani was setting low outer half, but he just kind of letting it go and spinning it.
With the bases empty and 2 out, it's the 8-hitter, Travis d'Arnaud. Was born in Long Beach, grew up in Southern California as a huge Dodger fan, dreaming of being the next Mike Piazza. Strike 1 on a slider.
Get the 8-hitter out really sets up the 3rd inning. Have the pitcher DeGrom have to lead off, even though he swings a very potent bat.
Hung that one in the air and foul ground. Bellinger has room and adjusts to catch it. Did a bit of a dance out there to finish off a 1-2-3 second for Darvish.
device. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live. Plus, get a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details.
Jacob deGrom has struck out 4 over the first 2, but allowed a solo home run in each inning. Chris Taylor to start the game. Yasiel Puig in the second. And now he'll face Seager, Turner, Bellinger. Fastball outside. It's 1-0. deGrom didn't begin pitching until his junior year of college. He's exclusively a shortstop at Stetson University. 2-0. But he had the strongest arm on his team. They had issues in the bullpen, and so the coach said, hey, what do you think about trying to close for us? So they tried him out. Seager hits it foul, and it's 2-1. That was his junior year. Still was focused on being a shortstop. Even going into his senior season, that was the focus. But they moved him into the rotation a couple of weeks into that senior year. And it didn't take long for him to jump onto everybody's radars as far as the draft goes. The big moment was in a game where he faced Florida Gulf Coast University. You know who was starting for them that day? Chris Sale. Sale won, but deGrom really impressed. And homered against Sale. 3-2. It was the only home run that he hit that year as a shortstop. And the Mets saw a raw pitcher, but a really good athlete who they thought moving forward had a chance to turn into a really good major league pitcher. They were right.
Taylor's hit himself once, fouling the ball off. Seager now back-to-back pitches. He's smiling about it, but boy, it's no fun. The scouts show up to see one pitcher, and they end up turning in 2 reports. One on the opposing pitcher, this man.
Who fires the payoff. Seager takes it outside, ball 4. Not sure we've seen him be able to spot that changeup yet.
He seems a little errant out there on the outside corner to lefties. The ball running off the plate. Dodgers done a nice job seeing balls that look like strikes end up balls, taking them.
It was a ground out in the first inning, but it moved the runner up. Dodgers were unable to capitalize on a 1st and 3rd situation. Settled for just 1. Strike 1.
A little borderline tilt of the head from Justin there. Thought he might have got a ball out of that one.
Oh, and 2. Poke foul. Do it again. It's a good environment here for a team that's 8 games below 500, especially coming off Atlanta, where it is not a particularly good environment.
Jacob deGrom replica jersey night. Packed a lot of people in here, plus the Dodgers.
I didn't know that, and I looked down to the section just below us and saw all these deGrom jerseys, and I actually said to our truck, I think we got the deGrom family section here. And I guess it's about 40,000 deep tonight. Seager at first with the leadoff walk, and after fouling off a couple of pitches on an 0-2, Turner does it again. DeGrom, one of those guys for Turner. He's 0 for 11 in his career in the regular season against DeGrom.
Justin right now is kind of boxing himself out of a slump, finding his timing. Been able to get a few hits here and there, but nothing spectacular for his abilities.
Fouls another. It's 4 in a row. 62 pitches already for Jacob DeGrom.
Big battle in the first. A couple of solo home runs along the way. Still no out here. 13 pitches in.
The one guy they've been able to count on this year in the starting rotation. Turner hits a fly ball to right. Curtis Granderson. One. The Dodgers had that huge home run outburst when they faced the Mets at Dodger Stadium, hitting 15 of them in the 4 games, and Bellinger had 3. 2 more this week in Atlanta. Facing the Dodger rookie record, 35 for Mike Piazza. One and 0.
Cody got a taste of Citi Field in batting practice and really realized that this is a big yard. He walked away from the cage after I think only hitting 1 home run in BP, saying, "I've got no juice."
1-1.
I said, "You'll be just fine. You got a guy in the mound tonight that's going to supply a lot of the power, and you have plenty."
A lot of home runs that have flown out of here this year. That's the one thing the Mets have done well, is homer. 3rd in the National League, a touch ahead of the homer happy Dodgers. 1-2. Fouled back. Doesn't look real comfortable yet against DeGrom.
It looks like there's some definitely grinding of the wheels there going on, but as soon as he gets ready, gets in his hitter position right here, looks like he's ready to compete. DeGrom has just been wearing him out inside.
Going there again. Oh, what is going on tonight? The 3rd Dodger to foul one hard off his leg. Taylor, then Seager, now Bellinger.
Well, you do start early against a guy who's got good velo. Now he throws him a little slider down and in, so he's out in front, about to hook the ball to first base, but he hooks it so far, he hooks it into his leg.
Just like Taylor, it's off the back of the back leg.
I think you heard in our field mic Dave Roberts say, "Take your time, Belly, take your time." Dave Roberts knows what it feels like to foul a ball off your feet or your legs, how much time it takes for that pain to go away. Always good to have somebody out there to give you that time, because you know you're the center of attention. You know you're holding up the game, and your first instinct is to get in the box even if you're not ready, just to kind of get things moving along. Manager and the trainer give you that extra cushion.
Bellinger looks to be okay. 1 ball and 2 strikes, and back comes DeGrom. Struck him out for the second time tonight. The 5th total K for DeGrom. Two outs for Peterson. Strike 1. The Dodgers know all too well about Jacob DeGrom when he's at his best. A 2015 season when he was an all-star and got Cy Young votes, beat Kershaw and beat Greinke in the National League Division Series. 7 shutout innings in Game 1, and then pitched the clinching Game 5. 2 runs over 6 innings. And as the case with a lot of the Mets starting pitchers from that 2015 run to the World Series, they dealt with injury issues the year after the high innings count in 2015. So DeGrom dealt with arm issues much of last year. Shut down at the end of August to have surgery on his arm. It's 1-1. His surgery was on a nerve that runs through the arm that was leading to tingling in his pinky and discomfort in his elbow. Two and 1. Three balls and a strike on Peterson, who walked his first time against DeGrom. One of the 2 that he's issued. The other one came to Corey Seager to start this inning. He's still at first.
DeGrom digging himself a hole with that pitch count, but the Dodgers are also doing a good job letting him.
Three and 2. Pulled the string, and he's found that changeup against Peterson.
Stuff has been good, just hasn't located it in the strike zone or make it look like it's down the middle and then have that kind of action. That ball on the outer half, Jock probably takes, but because it's right down the middle when it starts, gets the bat moving.
Seager will get a head start on the pitch in a 2-0 game here in the 3rd as the Dodgers try to get their 11th win out of their last 12. There he goes. Here it comes, and Peterson takes the same pitch but outside, ball 4. It's one heck of a take.
You know, you do learn something. Probably recognize the spin just a tad sooner. Able to not pull the trigger.
On the 3rd DeGrom walk, 1st and 2nd with 2 out for Grandal, who had 2nd and 3rd with 2 out his first time up and struck out. Strike 1. pick that up on the crowd mic there? Did you hear somebody start a Michael Jordan chant?
Really?
It was odd.
I was listening to the jet plane go overhead and thinking about when I pitched at Shea Stadium, just over the way, and I would try and time up the pitch with the jet plane really rattling the stadium. I thought it distracted the hitter.
Seriously?
Yep. And the only problem I had was in a really close game, I worried about my defenders being able to hear the crack of the bat, and really, if I made a mistake, to be able to really catch it. And I checked in with the outfielders and said, does that really get you? And he goes, no, it's not really the sound. We go more on the swing, so it may be a little bit more comfortable. But I thought, yeah, the rattling from the jet engines was a pretty nice distraction.
Grandal fouls it hard off Darno. Pretty good moments in that ballpark, huh?
They were a lot of fun. New York does bring back some fond memories for Dodger fans from the championship year. I think about Mike Scioscia's home run off of Dwight Gooden. I think about Givey hitting the home run in extra innings in the 12th to send us to the World Series as we march through the Mets that beat us 10 games out of 11 in the regular season. The other one not necessary. It was rained out.
2-2 on Grandal.
That was a great Met team that we happened to get through. That's the part, a little warning for this Dodger team, is because that '88 Dodger team beat an Oakland team that won 104 games. Nothing guaranteed from great regular season results.
Grandal digs that one out, but a soft roller to Bruce at first, and they've stranded 2 here in the 3rd. On to the bottom half. Yu Darvish back out there with a 2-0 lead.
Third inning of work in his Dodger debut. Now, he made his Major League debut back on April 9th of 2012 and spent his entire Major League Baseball career so far with the Texas Rangers. Prior to the trade, had this to say to his Texas Rangers fans. Took out a full-page ad in the Dallas Morning News thanking the Rangers fans for all of the support over the course of the last 5 years. And one interesting note in the ad, you guys, was he said his biggest regret was his final outing there, giving up the career-high 10 earned runs in just 3 2/3 innings, but wanted the fans to know he really appreciated his time in Texas, and he was sorry for that outing.
And on to Los Angeles. His first outing with the Dodgers. Pitched out of trouble in the first and then worked a 1-2-3 second. All-Star 4 times in his 5 healthy seasons in the majors. Missed all of 2015 following Tommy John surgery. Jacob deGrom starts this inning and takes ball 1. Rookie or number 3 in Rookie of the Year voting in 2012. Darvish was. And had his best year his second year, 2013. Runner up to Max Scherzer, who was in Detroit at that point for Cy Young. Led the majors in strikeouts. Had a sign of things to come. Very first outing that season. I don't know if you remember, but his first outing fell 1 out shy of a perfect game. One of the first days of the year. One and two.
Made the transition from Japanese baseball, where they pretty much pitch once a week, over here to the game in the stateside. Very, very well. Strong individual.
DeGrom slices one inside the bag for a base hit. Oh, looping curveball. Served into left. DeGrom has a leadoff single.
Swing from his shortstop days in college. Just kind of stays on it, double clutches, but has enough swing to hit the line drive.
And brings up Conforto, who singled on the first pitch that Yu Darvish threw in a Dodger uniform. One of the bright spots of this lost season for New York. All-star for the first time. Really had a breakout season last year after he struggled in 2015, but he has been a monster for much of this year. Nothing in two. Let me rephrase that. He had a really good first year, then struggled last year, and has bounced back here in 2017. Only 24. Darvish brings him in 0-2 and strikes him out with a fastball over the outside corner.
Yu Darvish hasn't pitched since July 26th. This fastball right here just painted high and away. That's 8 days rest coming into this outing here tonight. And if you look at his breakdown of 4 days rest, 5 days rest, or 6+, it's his best ERA at 3.06, and he's 12-5 with the extra rest. So he doesn't mind it that Texas was deciding to trade him and got him a little extra rest once he became a Dodger.
Comfortability coming from his previous schedule in Japan.
Exactly.
1 on 1 out. Asdrubal Cabrera. DeGrom runs. Darvish didn't pay attention to him, and he swipes second.
Shortstop in college, converted to closer, converted to starter. Always been a really good athlete, and shows off another tool that he has, his legs. And pretty good baseball mind to understand that not much attention being paid to him.
First career stolen base for Jacob DeGrom. Grandal had no shot that time. One and one.
Darvish and DeGrom exchanging smiles out there. Yu appreciates the fact that he took advantage of a situation, but now has to battle out of it.
Alana was talking about it during the start of the broadcast tonight about how laid back Yu Darvish is on days that he starts. Dave Roberts said there's one end of the spectrum in Clayton Kershaw. Kevin Brown he put in that category. And then on the other would be Yu Darvish. Very relaxed. filth. 1-2.
I talk about Clayton Kershaw being two pitchers in one body, the high fastball curveball pitcher and the low fastball slider pitcher. Darvish has that kind of stuff where he can morph himself into multiple kinds of pitchers and pitch selections.
Protective swing. 1-2 still. Alex Rodriguez is here to do the game for FS1 tomorrow, and he was saying the same thing about facing you, Darvish. That's the most difficult thing. You don't necessarily know which guy you're getting with so many different offerings. First thing he said, though, is, whew, he's tough.
Well, the one thing you know is that Yu Darvish is never going to default to harder is always better. He's not afraid to put it all on the line and throw a slow curveball. He's not afraid to put it all on the line and throw back-to-back changeups in a key situation. And then, of course, he can also then just go 98 on your hands, too. So when you have that opened up to you mentally and physically, it's a great, great weapon.
DeGrom at second with one out, and Darvish to the plate. 1-2.
Down to 76. I think that's the slowest pitch he's thrown tonight. And believe it or not, he can take that curveball. He has thrown one at 64 miles an hour.
It's pretty much an eephus.
Yes, and that is really hard to do with good arm speed, because most of the time it will slip out of your hand and it won't break at all. It'll just hang there in the middle. But to still spin the ball and make it go that slow and break, it's quite a talent.
Struck Cabrera out with a fastball his first time up there. Takes a slider that bounces. 2-2. Full count.
First little bit of motion we've seen out there, other than the smile. He's kind of berating himself.
Challenge him with a fastball. Cabrera continues to battle. This will be the 10th pitch of the at-bat to the veteran. His 11th season in the majors. Seems to see Darvish pretty well. He's homered against him before. On this payoff, swings and misses at a fastball. Darvish ultimately wins the battle for his 5th K of the night.
Long, arduous battle, but a Volkswagen replay of the fastball away that he beats him with. Not knowing what's coming, he has to wait as long as possible, and then the fastball beats you.
And against Jay Bruce the first time, he showed the respect you'd expect him to a guy who is 4 for 6 with 2 home runs against him lifetime. Falls off the table. Strike 1. I wish you all could see Oral right now.
That's just, that's Bugs Bunny like.
He's shaking his head in here, smiling.
Can you tell I really am enamored with this guy? I really didn't miss many starts when he pitched for Texas.
Slider a little bit in, and it's 1-1. You're like a kid in a candy shop right now. Darvish, a little more motion, asking Will Little where that pitch missed.
If you're going to design a pitcher, 6'5", 220, broad shoulders, can throw 98, but can change speeds down to 64 and spin the ball.
When he's right, when he's at his best, he's like a creative player in a video game.
He sure is.
Again, that's when he's right. He's not been at his best this year. DeGrom at second with 2 out, and Darvish downhill with a 2-1. A floater into short center. Corey Seager and Chase Utley come together. Seager makes the catch. Everybody's okay, most importantly, on a bit of a dangerous play with those two coming together. Is brought to you by the all-new 2017 Chrysler Pacifica, the new benchmark of minivans. And by Carl's Jr., the charbroiled chicken sandwiches with no antibiotics ever. Only at Carl's Jr. That's the great Ernie Harwell right there, who says his greatest contribution to broadcasting is leaving the Dodgers in 1949 because that opened a spot for Vin Scully. But on this day, a couple of years before that, he made his Major League Broadcasting debut, and Red Barber was sick. So the Dodgers traded to get Ernie Harwell. They traded a catcher named Cliff Dapper. Harwell became a Dodger, eventually went on to the New York Giants, then to the Detroit Tigers for a long career as their Hall of Fame broadcaster, and somebody that you grew up listening to.
I loved Ernie Harwell. I was 10 years old in 1968, living in Detroit, Michigan, and of course the Tigers won it all that year, 68. Ricky Lolich won 3 games in the World Series. Denny McLain won 31. It was the year of the pitcher. Don Drysdale set his scoreless inning streak. It was absolutely fantastic to have Ernie Harwell and Ray Lane on the mic for the Tiger games.
Like Ernie would say, he stood there and took it like a house by the side of the road. He fouls it off, and it's 0-2.
After the Tigers won the game in 1968, won the World Series. Actually was on Facebook today. They showed the last game, and they made a record album, believe it or not, and it was a 33 1/3 record album called The Year of the Tigers, and I used to go to bed to it every night listening to it.
Outside corner, strike 3. The ground was 6 of them. nothing gives Mets fans more satisfaction than seeing Chase Utley retire. Yasiel Puig to the plate. We look at our Carl Scam replay. It is second inning home run, number 20 of the year.
We've been seeing him hit line drives to right field with the new swing and not rolling over that low pitch. Turner Ward has done a tremendous job building his new swing and being able to elevate the ball to left field.
So a little more on the Puig kisses. There's actually a little more to it. One ball and one strike. Turner is known to plant him on Puig.
Really? We haven't seen that.
That's not a mistake.
But that's just in the underneath cage.
I mean, we see what kind of relationship they have, and it's a playful relationship. If Turner sees Puig having a bad day, sulking after maybe a bad round of batting practice, what better way to cheer him up than to lay one on him? Swings away here and misses. Strike 3, 2 out.
We might need one.
Yeah.
We might need one after that at bat. Watch out, Turner. We've had a heads up. The camera's on you.
Darvish only a handful of at-bats as a pro, but he does have a home run. 0-1. Not just in the majors, I'm talking. Only a handful of at-bats as a pro, period, including those 7 years in Japan. Like in the majors, 2 leagues over there, different rules. His league was the one with the DH, so he never hit. Jacob deGrom strikes out this side in the 4th for the Dodgers. Behind you, Darvish lead 2-0 to the bottom half. Ks over 3 shutout innings for you, Darvish, and our Quicken Loans Rocket Arms. Jacob deGrom pretty good as well when you get rid of the 2 solo home runs. He has 8 Ks over 4.
Both pitchers stay in the high 90s when they want to be there. deGrom doesn't really take the breaking ball down as low as Mr. Darvish, but they have both thrown pretty well. But deep pitch counts on one side will probably end up getting deGrom out a lot earlier than you, Darvish.
Middle part of the order, Cespedes to lead off. Well, the Mets had runners at the corners when Cespedes came up with one out in the first inning and flied out to the warning track. Off of the bat, he thought he'd gotten it. Talked about Darvish being a weightlifter in Japan. Well, Cespedes very clearly a weightlifter as well, and he started his lifting he was a young teenager. His cousin built an open-air gym in Cuba. Untraditional gym, though. They didn't have your traditional free weights and bars and squat racks, things like that. They used old refurbished tractor parts. They'd write the weight of them in marker, slid them on old tractor axles, and use those as bars. Here's a 1-1. Tapped in front of the plate. Grandal's got it. Cespedes the first out.
Dodger great Gil Hodges, an 8-time All-Star, was widely considered one of the best defensive first basemen of his era. Be one of the first 40,000 in attendance on August 15th when the Dodgers play the White Sox and receive a Gil Hodges bobblehead presented by San Manuel Casino. Visit Dodgers.com/promotions.
That looks good.
Looks really good. New York pie.
You a New York pizza guy or a Chicago deep dish pizza guy?
New York.
Are you?
Yeah. I can eat more pieces of that.
You can, yeah. Yeah, that's fact. Curtis Granderson. Strike one.
Yeah, one piece of deep dish and a small salad, and I'm full. I could eat probably like 3 slices. Some salad.
You a knife and fork guy with the deep dish?
Pretty much have to be.
Yeah. Another change disappears. 0-2.
I try to eat it by picking it up, but if you get a corner piece, you can pick it up. If you get the middle of the pie, it's pretty much gonna, it's gonna start to fall.
Down the middle for strike 3 at 95. Granderson had to be guessing something else.
Trying to go away, throws it down the middle, locks him up.
A walk and 2 hits. That's all against Darvish over 3 2/3 in this one. And now Neil Walker. Bounce back to Darvish. That's a lightning quick 4th inning on only 7 pitches. On to the 5th, 2-0. by your Southern California Toyota dealers. Save big on a reliable new 2017 Camry now at Toyota's National Clearance Event. Chris Taylor, Yasiel Puig both with solo home runs, and the Dodgers in front of the Mets 2-0 as we move along to the 5th. Joe Davis or Hershiser, Alana Rizzo. Glad you're spending your Friday night with us. Dodgers at 76-32, trying to take the opener from New York. Taylor looks at strike one. Jacob deGrom with that long hair, patented long hair of his. Growing it out since he was in college about 8 years ago. 0-2. Heard through the grapevine that a hitter had said that it made it even harder to pick the ball up out of his hand, and so Jacob vowed to never cut it. Oh, 2.
I could see that with his release point. He gets right over the top, kind of short arms it until he has that full extension out front. The hair flapping in the wind right there, and you're trying to pick up the release. Be a little distraction, seeing things move up there around his head.
Taylor bangs a base hit to the opposite field. Second hit of the night, starts the 5th.
Chris Taylor says neither here nor there.
Nice.
Line drive to right. Kaboom.
You are on fire lately, man.
It's all those new apps I'm using.
Some brain stimulant apps.
Yep, I sure am. Taking all the medicine I can and get those apps going.
That's a prescription for a really long life. So the leadoff man on, and Corey Seager, who has reached both times, climbs in. The ground pitches. Seager grounds. Base hit into right. Chris Taylor will make the turn, and the Dodgers stand at the corners with nobody out. Seager now 5 for his last 6 with 2 walks.
Just a little rollover, but man on first. Much bigger hole over there, and Chris Taylor created it, and Corey Seager capitalized on it.
Turner trying to get back on track. 0 for 2 today. And below 150 over his last 9 games.
The situation yesterday, just picked on the first pitch that was elevated, hit a nice routine sacrifice fly to right center.
Does the same here, but it's foul. Josh Smoker down in the New York bullpen. Grom's been one of the only good things about this entire pitching staff. And he's already at 97 pitches. Here comes number 98. A ground ball to second will bring home a run, but it will produce 2 outs. The Dodgers lead 3-0 as Chris Taylor scores on a 4-6-3 double play. So the base is wiped clear, 2 out, and Cody Bellinger, who Jacob deGrom has struck out twice. Little pop-up. That's a quick trip for Bellinger. And a quick inning for deGrom when you consider the fact that he gave up a run. 3-0 halfway home.
Dodgers go behind the scenes as the club bolsters the bullpen with a few trade deadline deals. Plus, Alex Wood and Kyle Farmer return to Georgia as the Dodgers visit the Braves. Don't miss Backstage Dodgers, presented by Hankook Tire, Thursday after the postgame on Sportsnet LA.
That'll be after the final game of this road trip. 2 of 3 from Atlanta. Game 1 of 3 here in New York, then an off day Monday, and 3 with the Diamondbacks starting on Tuesday. Ahmed Rosario leads off this 5th against Yu Darvish, who in his Dodger debut has hurled 4 shutout innings. That one's up, ball 1. After a rocky first inning where the Mets put him at the corners, they've had just 1 base runner over the last 3. We've seen him many times kind of mimicking a throw, and it looks like grinding in his mind through some mechanical things. Two and 0.
For me, his release point looks a little behind him. The timing between the upper body and the lower body slightly off. And you see him trying to get that release point out front. And you can consciously say you want it out front, but you got to get the timing right.
No swing, ball 3.
You mentioned earlier about him possibly tipping his pitches and with his glove in his last outing for Texas. And if he is concentrating on the glove, it might make him a little bit more deliberate with the upper body, and that could make him a little late with his arm, which would push the release point back. That upper body is a little late in the handbrake and coming forward, and then you want to fall off to first to clear for your arm to get through, and you drop your elbow and then things go awry.
Hard hit, base hit past Turner. Rosario's on his way to second, then he holds. Chris Taylor like a bullet to that ball, holding him to a single.
You can pick up an extra 90 feet with your legs as you run the bases, or you can stop someone from getting an extra 90 feet with your legs on defense. Chris Taylor uses his speed both sides of the diamond. A roll over ground out, ground through, aggressive turn, but no go.
What's most impressive is that Rosario is really fast. But so is Taylor. So he's at first, nobody out. The 8-hitter Travis d'Arnaud. Slider cracked it near to center. No big deal for Peterson, but it did take off on him at the last moment. 1 out. Well, it looks like the day is over for Jacob deGrom. Pinch hitter Brandon Nimmo has been introduced.
No interpreter needed there, and that was an awful lot of words in that conversation. So Yasmani, Corey Seager, Chase Utley, Cody Bellinger, all very confident that Yu Darvish can understand them and he can communicate back.
Yep, they say very good English. Spent some time in the United States early on in life and traveling internationally. His parents met in the United States while both were studying in Florida. His mother Japanese, his father Iranian. Ball 1 on Nimmo. From Sefat Farid, Yu Darvish. The inside corner for a strike, 1-1. There's always a fascination around Darvish in Japan because he looked different than everybody. That he wasn't 100% Japanese with the Iranian father. And when you combine that with the fact that he was way better than everybody else, he became a phenomenon. Everybody knew who Darvish was. Really easy to pick him out of a crowd. Runner takes off. Grandal's throw. Not going to get him.
Pretty good jump over there. Yasmani does everything he can to get this out as quick as possible. If the tag happens when he's going by the bag, nope, just tagged the helmet that was off his head.
Rosario, the first of what will likely be many. If he has the kind of career they hope he does. One of the top 10 prospects in all of baseball. Second stolen base against Darvish tonight. Runner in scoring position with one out. And he deals a move to second. Steals have been somewhat of a problem against Darvish this year. Now 18 of them in 20 tries. Over his career, 82 stolen bases in 95 tries.
Does not really rush to the plate. Big leagues, you'd like to be on average below 1.3 seconds to the plate. Hughes averages close to 2.
It's 3-1. On the ground to first, Bellinger feeds Darvish for out number 2. Here comes Conforto. Well, I think if you had told the Dodgers coming into it that they get 3 against DeGrom and have him out of there after 5, they would have taken it in a heartbeat the way he's been pitching.
It's a successful night for the offense and a frustrating night for Jacob DeGrom. Mets with only 3 hits, and he has one of them, 2 bags, and he's got one of the stolen bases.
Runner at third, 2 gone. Darvish comes home and cuts one inside. That's foul tip, strike 1. Trying to manufacture their first run of the night. Leadoff single, a steal of second. Rosario now at third after the bounce out. Now that in 2, he goes with a cutter in and then drops that thing.
I love that curveball. It's just fantastic how it's just kind of hanging there in the middle of the plate to tantalize the hitters, and then all of a sudden it just ends up really flat on top of the plate. It's like they're coming back with it.
Slip this time, 1-2.
When you throw a good curveball, one of the things you have to fight is trying to throw a better one, because when you go to throw the better one, that's when you hang it. The good one is good enough.
Looked like he already looked into the dugout for feedback. Somebody on the Dodgers staff and nodded. Going upstairs with a 1-2, and he struck him out. The inning is over. Darvish strands him at third with his 7th K and what is so far a sterling debut. Baseball on Sportsnet LA is brought to you by Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Shop ChooseNissan.com. How do you think that looks?
Looks like fried dough.
That sounds good to me.
What do you sprinkle a little powdered sugar on it? Dip them in honey? What do you do? Something inside them?
You can hear the crispiness. 3-0 Dodgers in front of the Mets. We go on to the 6th, then into the bullpen. Josh Smoker is on, and the Mets have struggled. And they've struggled in the rotation too, but the bullpen has not been very good.
Back to that bump. I'll buy if somebody will fly.
Oh, yeah.
As far as going to get the fried dough.
Right. Jock Peterson leads off the inning and takes strike one. Dodgers getting single runs in the 1st, the 2nd, and the 5th. Taylor and Puig have homered. Taylor scored the last run as well after starting the inning with a single. Peterson walked both times against DeGrom, and against Smoker he's in an 0-2 hole.
Chris Taylor keeps this up, he's going to get into the MVP conversation. It's unbelievable. He cracked the top 10 in batting in the National League coming into today. I think we have 1, 10, and 15 now at the top of the order, with Taylor at 10, Seager at 15, and Turner at 1.
An average.
Yep.
Yeah. And just like you draw it up, that you then have Cody Bellinger's 30 home runs behind it. Peterson puts it in place. Smoker pounces. 1 out. Grandal 1 for 10 on the trip. That strikeout his 6th in that stretch. First pitch breaking ball in for a strike. One and two. Smoker, former first-round pick, the Washington Nationals, out of school in Georgia, but then dealt with really bad shoulder issues. First it was a bone spur, and then had to go in and repair both the rotator cuff and the labrum. Wasn't the same when he came back. Nationals released him before he ever reached Double-A, after he was a first-round pick. So he sat out the entire 2013 year. Couldn't get an affiliated team to sign him. Went and played for the Rockford Aviators in the Independent Frontier League in 2014. Full count on Grandal. Did well enough there that he caught the attention of the Mets. And 3 years after his most recent outing with an affiliated team, the Mets signed him to a minor league contract, gave him an opportunity to show what he could do there. And a year later made his major league debut. He walks Grandal. The Dodgers are the 1-out base runner. Here's Utley.
Crowd is very sleepy until Chase comes to the plate. The Dodger offense and Darvish have really kind of lulled them out of this game, but not this man.
One of their happiest moments of the night is when he took strike 3 called back in the 4th inning. One of their scariest moments of the night was when he pounded one to the wall his first time. Granderson went back to catch it. Strike 1-1. One of the lasting images I'll always have in my brain when I think of Chase Utley years from now will be when Noah Syndergaard threw behind him. His immediate reaction as a 100-mile-per-hour fastball flies behind him. He immediately goes back into his routine between pitches. Starts sliding dirt around with his foot, looking down at the plate.
No pointing of the bat, no screaming at the pitcher, no jawing with the catcher. Right back into locked in. You are so right.
Smokers 2-1, and Utley swings, and it's a high drive to right field. That one will shut him off into the second deck. He sure has a flair for the moment, doesn't he? Home runs against the New York Mets over Chase Utley's career. And they again have rode the long ball against New York. 3 home runs tonight and a 5-0 lead.
Even Dave Roberts is flabbergasted.
He makes it 5-0. We look at it on our Morongo Casino and Resort and Spa slow-mo cam.
I've always said he has a swing like hummingbird wings, just really short to the ball. Doesn't even really extend. It just has short, compact, powerful swing in a very tight area, but he launches the bat on time.
Chasen Bradford, another reliever with an ERA above 5. To Yasiel Puig. Little dribbler in front of the plate. Darno gets him. So here's Darvish. So far, so good.
It's been an excellent debut for him. I'm not sure he's even attempting to shine at the plate at all, risking injury right now. He is glancing down there to third. He's thinking about bunting. Last at bat just took 3 strikes and sat down.
Which is fine.
Exactly. He did swing the bat and strike out in the first at bat, but does not look fully engaged right here. Just pretty much resting up, waiting to get back out there and pitch.
Two. Said he was hooked for life in his very first Little League game when he was in 2nd grade. His first at bat, got a base hit, and that feeling that he had running down to first, never wanted to let go of it. So they're finished in the 6th, but Chase Utley quiets the booing fans with a 2-run home run. The 3rd Dodger home run of the night. It's 5-0 here in New York. By T-Mobile. How about this? This is since the end of May, the roller coaster ride the Mets have been on, just the different stretches they've gone on. Talk about hot and cold and hot and cold and back and forth again. This right now is a cold stretch. They'll need to come from behind to avoid their 7th loss out of their last 9 games. And I think everybody around here kind of assumes that Terry Collins' days are numbered as the manager. Contract is up at the end of the season. Even though he's the all-time winningest manager here, this has just been a really tough year for him to endure, and word is that he will not be renewed. Yu Darvish, 5 shutout innings, back out there with a 5-0 lead.
The Mets are going to have to build their own inning. Yu Darvish 14 of 19 as far as first pitch strikes, so he is definitely attacking them tonight.
He struck out Cabrera both times, despite Cabrera really battling. Got him with a fastball on both occasions. High fly ball to right field. Yasiel Puig saunters over. He's got it. 1 out. On 1 pitch for Darvish. It sure has seemed like the weight of the whole thing came off his shoulders after that first inning.
At 1st and 3rd, 2 out. He's out there, but the line drive that he snags to end the inning, and if you look behind him when you see the replay on the post game, you'll see Corey Seager stationed there. So he had backup. So good that he gloved it cleanly, didn't deflect it.
Bruce, the only guy that's walked against him tonight. He's also popped out, and on this pitch he takes a strike. Bounce back year for Bruce. Came over at the deadline last year and really struggled after the trade. His slugging was 170 points lower than what it was to open the year with Cincinnati. 1 ball and 1 strike. Pretty much as soon as he got here, the New York media had him leaving. So instead of buying a place or even renting long term, he stayed in 6 different hotels in his 2 months last year. Assumed that he was a rental and assumed that he was headed elsewhere when he got into the offseason too. Another pop fly. In left field, Chris Taylor settles under it. 2 up and 2 down.
Add to your Dodger gear collection on Wednesday, August 16th, when the Dodgers host the White Sox. The first 40,000 fans in attendance will receive a pair of LA branded socks presented by New Balance. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions.
And I think if everything lines up as it is right now, that could be Darvish's first Dodger Stadium start on what'll be his 31st birthday. Two away in the 6th. Yoenis Cespedes, the hitter. He goes after the first one. He sawed him off. Darvish on 5 pitches retires the side in order in the 6th. Game came right off of the bat. First batter of the game, Chris Taylor with a solo home run. He also has a single and scored a run after that today. He has the highest batting average on balls in play, not just in baseball this year, but one of the top 5 batting averages on balls in play ever, at least in the live ball era. The other 4 guys on that list are all Hall of Famers. So we're talking like really big time top flight Hall of Famers. It's an interesting thing to look at. First pitch of the 7th is up and in for ball 1. Because usually when you're looking at batting average on balls in play, the knee-jerk reaction is, okay, well, he's playing above his head and he's due to come back to earth. Those guys on that list never did. And not that we're comparing Chris Taylor to them, but there can be plenty more to it than just good or bad luck.
I think so, and I think that the batting average on balls in play will get more refined as we get farther into the StatCast universe with launch angle and exit velocity and spray patterns also. Chris Taylor can hit the ball from the right field line to the left field line and hit it on a line, so it's very hard to defend him.
The speed is a factor too. Anything in between. Some of his more softly hit balls, he's got a lot better chance to beat him out than most guys. He's ahead here, 3-1. Full count. Jason Bradford back home with a payoff. And Taylor fouls another.
Back about a month ago that you had a conversation with Turner Ward, and we were watching Chris Taylor struggle a little bit meaning maybe for a game or two, and he mentioned to you about he's not really worried because he's on time a lot.
He walks to open the 7th.
So even when he was swinging and missing, and even when he was fouling balls back, everything that Turner Ward wanted him to do and what Chris Taylor was trying to do was on time. The foot strike, the hand movements, and then the bat arriving in the hitting area.
Corey Seager's been on base in 6 of his last 7 plate appearances. Outside, ball 1. Actually 7 of his last 8. 5 hits, 2 walks. Chance at another 3-hit game for the Dodgers shortstop. Driven to deep left center field. That is a missile. That is off the wall. Taylor stopped at third on a double from Seager, who's got another 3-hit night.
Such a beautiful swing and a powerful swing, and he hits it all over the field too, but this is an area where he wears out. Looking at him here in New York reminds me a little bit of John Olerud with that swing. As good as John Olerud was at peppering the left field wall.
Second and third, nobody out. Infield comes in a 5-0 game. Dodgers 7 hits tonight. 5 of them have gone for extra bases. 3 home runs, and then Seager with a pair of doubles. Turner trying to get involved in the party. 0 for 3 so far. How about that now? 8 3-hit games out of his last 31. It's almost once a series he's producing a 3-hit game. Turner to the opposite field. Granderson back. This will get the job done. Taylor comes in to score. The Dodgers lead 6-0 as Justin Turner gets an RBI sac fly for the 2nd night in a row. the Dodgers, Oral, have now scored 42 runs and hit 18 home runs in 5 games against New York.
Yeah, that's your situation.
Turner Ward congratulating Justin Turner on his situational hitting.
Bellinger slaps the first one in the air foul. Boy, was that just barely foul?
I think that ball landed in the field of play foul, but it was catchable.
Would have been.
Not the best of efforts.
Kinds of things that tend to happen when you have a team 8 games below 500 and just past the trade deadline, traded away a couple of pieces, have more pieces that are expected to be dealt. High pop fly. Short center field, probably not deep enough. It's not. It's stopped by Darno.
Wherever that throw would have ended up, Corey Seager, you don't not take the risk of getting hurt. Prudent decision by both he and Chris Woodward.
Peterson has 2 of the 4 Dodger walks in this game. 2 of the 5 Dodger walks, beg your pardon. Both came against Jacob deGrom. Only lasted 5 innings in this one. No swing, ball 1. So this is obviously the headline matchup, Darvish against deGrom. Not just in this series, but in baseball tonight. Tomorrow it's Rich Hill against Seth Lugo. Then on Sunday, Hyun-Jin Ryu and Steven Matz. Ground ball to first. Bruce will take it to the bag, and that does it for the Dodgers in the 7th. But they add 1. And as we stretch in New York, it's 6-0. Defenders brought to you by 76. Note the game times the rest of the weekend. 1 o'clock LA time tomorrow, 5 o'clock on ESPN only on Sunday. We'll be back with you on Tuesday as the road trip continues on to Phoenix. Dodgers enter the night with a 7-game lead on everybody. Houston Astros 7 games back for the best record in baseball. Dodgers try to go to 42-7 over their last 49 and then would have a chance tomorrow to best that 2013 stretch. Tonight they've done it behind Yu Darvish in his Dodger debut, 6 shutout innings.
What a great line for him so far, looking to continue that. And I would think Dave Roberts will want to get him up the tunnel with a very fond memory of this outing. I would think this might be his last.
It's his 80th pitch, so it's right in that range where you often see Dodger starters come out. At least where you expect the count to be when this inning ends. Ball and a strike on Granderson.
Remember, he's on 8 days rest, and there's Tony Cingrani loosening up a little bit.
Two and one. Oh, or 2-2. Foul, and we'll do it again. Think about some of the big mid-season moves throughout the years in Dodger history. Most notable one in recent memory, the huge deal in 2012, the 9-player deal that brought Adrian Gonzalez to the team, and Beckett and Crawford and Punto. It was 2012 in August, so that was after the non-waiver deadline. Granderson strikes out swinging for the first out of the 7th. Number 8 for Yu Darvish. 2008, Manny Ramirez and Manny Wood. What happened after they got him in a 3-way contract, a 3-way deal? One of the greatest deadline pickups ever. Manny Ramirez in 53 games with the Dodgers hit 17 home runs. Finished 1 hit shy of hitting 400 in those 2 months. And then in the playoffs went 13 for 25 with 4 homers and 11 walks. With one out, it's Neil Walker, and he looks at a strike.
Manny was a hitting savant. He absolutely loved to work out, to stay strong, and he loved to hit. Oh,
0-2.
I'll tell you what, Yasmani Grandal and Yu Darvish have been on the same page all night. How many times have we seen him shake? He's been very compliant to whatever Yasmani puts down. He's just following him.
One and two. About 2004, Steve Finley comes over at the deadline and hits the division clinching grand slam. I mean, even last year, Rich Hill, splendid once he got rid of the blister problems. 2-2. One of the best midseason moves for a pitcher, though, is back when the team was in Brooklyn when they got the barber. Sal Magley is a former rival with the Giants. He was in Cleveland at that point. The Dodgers purchased him from Cleveland. He'd finished runner-up to Don Newcomb that year for Cy Young. Now Brooklyn to the pennant. A footnote in Don Larson's perfect game in Game 5 of the World Series that year. He was the losing pitcher.
We can hope that Darvish is Sal Magley.
Yeah, minus the footnote.
Yeah, exactly. Could really help. This is a great acquisition. This is like putting Kershaw and Greinke back together, but it's Kershaw and Darvish.
A 2-2. Got a round on it, but way foul. And of course, in this season, it couldn't just be a ho-hum deadline, even by blockbuster standards. They had to make it a significant one, and that it came a little bit after the deadline, at least when it was reported. Kind of a buzzer beater while the team was on an airplane.
You had the big three a few years ago. You had Ryu, Greinke, Kershaw, and then all of a sudden this year you could go Kershaw, Darvish, and you could choose between the pitcher of the month in May and Rich Hill, or the pitcher of the month in July. And was it the other way around?
Yeah.
Rich Hill was in July and Alex Wood in May. And you still have Ryu, who, last outing 7 scoreless. Kenta Maeda with a little burr in his saddle, throwing the ball outstanding. It's a very deep and high quality rotation.
And the other thing that has been written about some that does is it puts less reliance on Kershaw to try and be superhuman. He has no problem trying to be that guy, but the Dodgers are better off if he doesn't have to pitch on short rest time and time again throughout October.
They're going to have a lot of flexibility in October too on how they decide who starts and when they start. And
strikeout number 9 for Darvish. A disappearing curveball for out number 2.
They might be able to tell some of the lefties that, yeah, you're starting, but if you need to be out there in the bullpen tonight in case we have a key situation for a left-on-left matchup, and if we get through tonight and you don't come out of the bullpen, you will start. But if we need you tonight, we need you down there. Could be holding guys side works and saying, nope, no side work before the game. We want you to have your side work and get ready for your next start, but we want to save those bullets for tonight, possibly.
2 outs. Here's Rosario. 95th pitch of the night for Darvish. A fastball for strike 1. Is that how it was set up with you in '88?
Not really. I got to set it up behind Tommy's back.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I've pretty much just watched my workload between starts on purpose, knowing that, you know, I wouldn't mind coming out of the bullpen and helping. But it's an awful lot of fun, I'll tell you what, to do the unexpected and to just lay it all on the line for your team. And I know that's what Clayton does. I know that's what all these guys on this roster do. That's what makes this team so special, is they are all bought into the whole instead of the individual. That's what that '88 team was pretty much made of.
2-1.
This team has so much more talent, it's not even funny. I mean, at times we were a little bit like the Bad News Bears being put together. You know, Mickey Hatchers and the Steve Sacks and the Mike Davises and the Franklin Stubbs and the Jeff Hamiltons. And then there were some guys that had good years, but there were a lot of guys that was their year.
2-2. That's something we've talked about with this group, is that they have that magic you saw in '88. And I think we had the discussion during the Giants series, because it seemed like the Giants rarely were way better than everybody in 10, 12, and 14, but they just kind of overwhelmed you with the magic.
The it factor.
This Dodger team has that, and they're way better than everybody.
Yeah. It's a tremendously talented bunch.
Darvish trying to strike out this side. He does. 10 strikeouts over 7 shutout innings for Darvish in his Los Angeles Dodger debut. Raced in that Dodger dugout. How about this line in his first game in Dodger blue?
Well, whatever he dreaded or felt the pressure with coming over to be a Los Angeles Dodger, he fulfilled his dream, not his nightmare.
For the 41,187 in New York. He's got plenty of support from the offense. The Dodgers have hit 3 home runs tonight. Taylor, Puig, Utley. Now Yasmani Grandal to start the 8th inning. Taking ball 1.
Give a lot of credit to this man too for that first outing. Made sure that Yu was very comfortable out there and guided him through it.
You were talking about how you expected Yu Darvish's numbers to get better simply because he's not pitching in that ballpark in Texas anymore. There's another argument that he stands to improve based on who his receiver is. Two and one. Jonathan Lucroy, who at one point was one of the best pitch framers in baseball, is now considered the single worst. And he was Darvish's catcher much of the year in Texas. Yasmani Grandal, who caught him tonight, figures to catch most of his starts, is considered one of the very best. 2 and 2.
And if you live on the edges and you have a catcher that can grab those balls on the edges and keep the glove looking like a strike, that's going to be a big asset for Mr. Darvish.
Yeah, pitch framing and Yu Darvish, that's a good relationship because he is a guy that has admitted before that he pitches for strikeouts sometimes.
Did a nice job with that tonight. Also with runners in scoring position, the Mets were 0 for 6.
Grandal strikes out. 1 away in the 8th. Chase Utley coming up, having hit that 2-run home run his last time. We were talking about last year when he was here. Noah Syndergaard in the 3rd inning throws this 100-mile-per-hour fastball behind him, gets thrown out. Chase doesn't even care, just sliding the dirt around in the box. What's going on? Later that night, a grand slam. Taken for a strike. And that was actually a solo shot. The grand slam came the inning later that night. Becomes like the 15th Dodger tonight to foul the ball off himself. That one hits the plate first. Didn't hurt as much. 0-2. One and 2.
You know, we're talking about this Los Angeles Dodger team and the grit. And this guy really started that, and Dave Roberts preached it. And Chase Utley was the living, breathing example of it.
Bradford gets back-to-back Ks to open the 8th. Couple of Bruins bringing that grit. A lot of Dodger fans here tonight.
They're the ones that are mostly still here.
There are plenty that are left over from the Brooklyn days. The Mets blue and orange. That's a combination of the Brooklyn Dodger blue and the New York Giant orange. Those teams both leaving New York, leaving a void. The Mets filled 4 years later after the teams moved west. Strike one on Puig. That first year that the Mets were here, 1962, they lost 120 games and finished 60.5 games out of first. Seven years later, though, they won a world championship. Amazing Mets, 1969. Did a promo for Gil Hodges earlier.
Right.
He was the manager of that team. Puig corks one to left center field. Conforto will run it down, making a nice catch to end the inning. We move to the bottom of the eighth with the Dodgers all over the Mets in this one.
Coming up next, Access Sports Set Dodgers, brought to you by your Southern California Nissan dealers. The guys break this one down, and I'm not sure that there could have been a better Dodgers debut for Yu Darvish. Of course, 7 scoreless innings, 10 punch-outs, got the offense that he needed. 3 big home runs in this one so far. Chris Taylor's solo shot, the difference in a 6-0 ball game, guys.
All right, Alana. So Darvish trying to get a W here in his Dodger debut. Kike Hernandez in the game now defensively and left. And Josh Fields on the mound.
Josh has contributed this team in a big way for the #1 bullpen in the National League. Big fastball, good curveball, and been very consistent.
Second night in a row for him pitching on this road trip. Travis d'Arnaud swings at the first one, a lazy fly to center. 1 pitch, 1 out.
Riding on the team bus from the airport to the hotel last night. Sat a row away from Josh Fields, and we were talking about first pitches, and he goes, I would like better than anything else, throw the first pitch and let somebody pop it up or fly out. Nothing better to start an outing, and here he does it the next night. I guess it's not the next night when you get in at 4 in the morning. It's the same day.
Same all day, yeah. This has been quite a response from the Dodgers on the heels of that. That's not an easy thing to do. The stretch where they're trying to go to 22-5 or 22-3 over a 25-game stretch. One of the 3 losses was when they got back really late from Chicago to open the series against Atlanta.
Justin Turner came down with the bronchitis. A lot of guys were beat up from the travel.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Reyes.
4 o'clock start tomorrow. They catch a little bit of a break, and then they end up on Sunday Night Baseball, so they get to sleep in a little bit both the next 2 nights.
Get used to it on Sunday Night Baseball. Probably going to be featured on that prominently down the stretch here. 2-2. Each network gets so many times they can have each team, and I don't think the Dodgers were on Sunday Night Baseball once in the first half.
I do not remember that. When it's at home, it's awfully fun for the pitchers for the first 3 or 4 innings because the lighting is so bad for the hitters.
Fouled off. Bet a few of the guys come up to me and say, how robbed did you feel Sunday night when you weren't there for Kyle Farmer's game-winning 2-run double because it was Sunday Night Baseball?
Right.
Pretty jealous.
Jealous, but this team has been very nice to everyone. When you get to broadcast, they're doing something exciting almost every night.
That is true. They don't discriminate based on who's calling it. That's for sure. Reyes stays alive. Still 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Mets came back from Colorado. They got in late, but not as late as the Dodgers.
They got back yesterday.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Oh, lucky them.
I'm just making a joke about the fact that yeah,
it was night.
Dodgers got it today.
I thought you had me again.
Another 2-2. Hard hit. Bellinger with a diving stop, and he feeds Fields for out number 2. And then flashes that $1 million smile.
Smiling across the diamond at Justin Turner. He's giving him a hard time about something. Great jump. You get to see it right here. The reaction, the 1.5 steps, the dive, sure-handedness, and perfect feed to Josh.
I don't know what's so funny.
I don't know, but here comes Justin on the shift to be able to get in his right ear.
Back to the top and Conforto. Strike 1.
We will report back tomorrow when we're around the cage at BP and find out what that conversation is about.
Doesn't take much to elicit smiles these days for this group. Now 4 outs away from getting their 11th win out of their last 12. 22nd out of their last 25. And from becoming the 4th team in baseball history to have a 42-7 stretch. Two and 1.
You come to New York and you're doing what the Dodgers are doing. You are big news, and the national spotlight is always here in New York. So Sports Illustrated was here on the first day. They're going to be around for a few days. Of course, the New York Times had a few writers they sent out. So it's going to be some major coverage coming up.
Conforto has his 2nd hit of the night and snaps a run of 11 in a row retired by Dodger pitching.
The Dodgers not only have the best record in the majors, but top the National League with 6 All-Star selections this year. And now fans can receive an exclusive commemorative photo by purchasing 4 more tickets to any remaining home game. This is a limited time offer, and you must purchase your tickets at Dodgers.com/Let'sGoDodgers.
The group of reporters was so big that we couldn't even get close enough to hear Dave Roberts in his dugout scrum.
Normally, what, 15? And this was probably closer to 50?
Yeah, I'd say that's right. Asdrubal Cabrera chops one to second. Plug your ears. Inning over. On to the 9th with the Dodgers in front 6-0. Is brought to you by BMW. See a Southern California BMW Center today for exceptional offers, or visit SoCalBMW.com. Citi Field, which was designed to look a little bit like old Ebbets Field. Side of this one, a weekend series between the Dodgers and the Mets, where the Dodgers have a 6-0 lead, and Eric Goodell comes out.
Had a pretty good year so far, that 4.05 ERA. You see only 16 games, but the young man has only been scored upon in 4 of his 16 outings and has stranded a lot of runners. Here gets a fresh inning, but 15 out of 16 when he has inherited people, he is stranded.
Austin Barnes will pinch hit to start this inning. Three more home runs for the Dodgers against the Mets tonight. That's 18 of them in 5 games. Ball 1. Little Candy Crush.
I don't think so. It might be, but I'm thinking they're looking at the pitcher.
One and one.
On the bus, yes. In the dugout, no.
Speaking of video games, I felt old the other night. We were talking about how this year's Dodgers aren't probably appropriately rated on there. I guess these days there are weekly updates you download.
Oh, wow.
So the rosters update as when the season happens. I used to consider myself a gamer. I don't even know myself anymore.
If you consider yourself old, I must be dead.
No, just twice as old.
Okay.
Little pop fly into short right field, and it will be caught by Walker. Heck of a play. 1 out.
It's quite the route. Head towards the right field line, circle back towards center, and find a way to get it in your glove.
Hernandez, first at bat of the night. Goes after the first pitch. It's a pop-up. Foul ground at first. Jay Bruce, 2 out. Now the Mets will try to retire Corey Seager for the first time tonight. 3 hits and a walk. Second consecutive 3-hit game. He's reached in 8 of his last 9 plate appearances. Oh, and 1.
Dodgers on a historic stretch of winning games. Corey Seager with already having 3 hits tonight, batting average over 300, and grinding it out before the inning starts to find out more about the relief pitcher. That's a very good sign. So many reasons to let a little complacency in, but no. And right next to him grinding also was Justin Turner, the on-deck hitter. I don't know about you, but I'm starting to get excited about October. I know it's a little early, it's August, but I'm like, this is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of build-up before we get there, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
Hard hit to second. Walker's there. The Dodgers done in the 9th. On to the bottom half, trying to finish this thing off. Dodgers baseball on Sportsnet LA is brought to you by Hard Knocks. Training camp with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tuesdays at 10 p.m. and it kicks off August 8th on HBO. Austin Barnes stays in. Will play second base for the Dodgers here in the bottom of the 9th inning. And Luis Avilan to pitch.
Well, Luis has had a great year, and mainly because he gets people to chase his off-speed stuff. Yes, that's mainly his changeup, but he's working really hard to improve on that curveball, and we're starting to see that. The arrow point up on the curveball as he has watched the Dodgers go out and acquire a few left-handers to really take what could be his job if he can get a bona fide wipeout breaking ball.
The Dodgers testing him here with Jay Bruce coming up. Cespedes and Granderson to follow in the inning. All Dodgers in this one. Single runs in the first, the second, and the fifth. 2 in the sixth, 1 in the seventh. And 7 shutout innings from Yu Darvish, who struck out 10 tonight. It's a nice looking curve. Strike 1. So I mentioned the note about if they hold on to this being One of very few teams ever to go 42-7 in a 49-game stretch. They'd be one of 5 ever to do it. It's happened 4 times. Most recently in 1912.
Most recently.
New York Giants 105 years ago had a 42-7 stretch. The 1906 Cubs had a 44-5 stretch. The 1885 Chicago White Stockings had a 42-7 stretch. And the 1884 St. Louis Maroons had a 43-6 stretch. Dodgers would add to that list. They're the first team in 105 years to win 42 of 47, 42 of 49. Two and two.
They're always projecting out these wins and saying what pace they're on. I think they're on a 114 pace coming into today. But I always think of eliminating April when I look at that pace, because this is not the same team. And so I always look at that with a grain of salt, going, they might pass the 114, maybe easily.
Avedon strikes out Bruce, 1 out in the 9th. Well, the franchise record is 105. 1953 Boys of Summer. Haven't won more than 95 games since 1977. Tonight would be win number 77. They'd be 18 short with 2 months to go. Winning 95 for the first time since 77. Only twice since relocating to Los Angeles have they won 100. Never more than 102 in LA. One ball and no strikes on Yoenis Cespedes.
If there are odds in Vegas on the Dodgers winning 100 games or more this year, and they go up today, it's got to be a huge favorite.
Yeah, they could play below 500 ball and still reach 100 wins.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and then and so really the line they'd probably even set would be more on, will they establish the new franchise record at 106.
Three and 0. Four-pitch walk. Cespedes aboard with 1 out. So if they win tonight, just doing some quick math here. To set the franchise record, they would have to go 29-24. That's to win 106.
I think that is definitely within reach and would definitely be a favorite to happen.
Granderson looks at a ball.
I was just looking around the field thinking, okay, what is a reason that complacency could set in, or they would just kind of ease off the gas pedal early in September before all of a sudden you want to ramp up for the playoffs. And I don't see really one individual that doesn't have a reason to be out there playing hard and attacking the game. Justin Turner's having a huge year. Corey Seager's continues to grind it out and do his thing. Cody Bellinger in his rookie year and the home run chase now. And Chris Taylor and what he's doing. Jock Peterson competing for playoff time right up to the very end.
Granderson sends a high fly ball to right center field that Jock Peterson will catch, and the Mets down to their final out.
Yasiel Puig, with him turning his career around this year as far as consistency and seeing that production. And the guys in the bullpen are all going to be looking to be on their toes the rest of the year, you know, competing for, I want to be the guy on the mound in those key moments in the playoffs.
How attainable do you think a 39-14 run from here on out would be?
I think that would probably be a coin flip.
Really?
Or maybe a slight dog.
They would match the most wins in baseball history if they go 39-14 the rest of the way.
That's an interesting,
heady stuff.
Yeah. So what would their record be if they go 39-14?
They'd have 116 wins.
Wow.
They'd match the 2001 Seattle Mariners. Of course, the footnote there is that they didn't even make the World Series. And the 1906 Cubs, who did it with a 116-36 record. So they did it 152. That's absurd.
And they're not going to bring up September Cubs and almost give them a lot of spot starts to minor leaguers. Everybody in this rotation is going to want the ball. And this is not about, you know Maeda's going to want the ball. Ryu's going to want the ball. Hill's going to want it. Wood's going to want it. Kershaw's going to want it. Darvish is going to want it. So there is no easing off the gas pedal. This could be a very special regular season.
Oh, I think it is.
Well, it is already,
yeah.
But I'm saying as far as staying interesting the rest of the way without a team chasing you in second place.
All right.
They are chasing history. They're not trying to stay out in front of the Rockies or the Diamondbacks.
There's 1-1 to Walker. He drills it left center field. Peterson back onto the track to make a leaping game-ending catch. The Dodgers beat the Mets 6-0 and make Darvish a winner in his Dodger debut.
It was an early morning arrival, and it's a late night arrival for Jock Peterson at the wall for a Dodger victory. Welcome aboard, Darvish. 6-0 Dodgers, and you got 10 Ks.
I think he'll fit in just fine with this group. Now 77-32 as Darvish picks up the win, and he's our Lexus player of the game. A little bit bumpy ride in the first inning. Mets put him at the corners. Able to pitch around that. Catch a line drive off of the bat of Curtis Granderson to get out of it. Pretty much cruise from there, picking up those 10 Ks and his first win in his first start. Dodgers have won 11 of 12, 22 of 25, and the 5th team in baseball history to win 42 of 49. For Orr Hershiser, Alana Rizzo, and the rest of our crew, Joe Davis saying so long from New York. Game 2 is tomorrow. For now, it's That's Sportsnet, brought to you by your Southern California Nissan dealers.